Hello guys, and welcome back to the kitchen. Today we are doing that plum pectin and then sugar plum fairy spice butter. So I do a quart of water for every pound of fruit. So I've got 8 quarts of water since I've got 8 pounds of fruit, and I'm going to add a quarter cup of lemon juice because it helps prevent your fruit from turning brown. And then all I'm going to do with all 8 pounds, and I always start on the bottom, right, plum top up here and the bottom. And then I gently cut down till you get to that pit. Back, and it twists just like that. And you see that? Your seed will then should just pop out. You might have to do a little bit of cutting depending upon how ripe your fruit is. I'm going to have to cut these pits out a little differently because that's in there tight. You just basically go around, cut out the pit, put the plum in the water, and get it all cut up. That's all I'm going to do. We'll be back when all 8 pounds are cut up and into the water. There you go, you guys. We've got all 8 pounds sliced, pit removed, and into the 8 quarts of water. Now I know this looks like a lot more than 8 quarts, because this is a 16 quart Cuisinart, but you gotta take into mind all those plums take up room and push the water up. So now what we do is we turn it on high, we put the lid on it, and we boil it for about an hour to an hour and a half until the plums just fall and crumble apart when you push on them with a potato masher. So I'll bring you back for all of that. Alright guys, you see that? It's up to a really good boil, and if I don't get this lid off, see that pink beautiful foam? It's going to boil over. Alright, now that it's up to a full hard rolling boil, take the lid off and we let it keep boiling for, now that it's up, we start the timer and we start boiling for an hour to an hour and a half until it just mushes apart. But as you can see, it's already mushing apart, and the foam had all come up. It's been boiling already for nearly 45 minutes. And taking off the lid gives it a chance to breathe. It'll be about 45 minutes before it gets to that foaming up to your lid point. But we just let it keep going for an hour and a half. Well, for me it's 45 minutes, but for you, as soon as it gets up to a boil, you start keeping track of it. You check it at an hour, and then you check it at an hour and 15, and then you check it at an hour and a half. Our goal is to have it completely turn to mush whenever you take a, yeah, see, that's not, there's still form to that. We're going to take a potato masher and mash it really good. As you can see, the color is really starting to come through beautifully. So, I'm just going to keep letting it go, keep letting it boil. Now remember, we started with 8 quarts, 1 quart per pound, but it will boil down a good quart and a half to even possibly 2 quarts of water during the boiling process. That is okay. And that is what we want. We're making pectin out of this. You can make plum juice. But we're making pectin, so the more water that gets boiled out, the better. Alright guys, we're going to keep letting it go, and I'll be back. There we have it, you guys. Look at that beautiful dark rich red color. And as you can see, when I try to stir it, the plums have turned into plum mush. Yes, there's skin in there. The skin and all of this mush will be sent through my Ninja to make sure that all the skin gets good and cut up and broken down. So all I'm going to do is turn this off, let it sit for just a couple of minutes, not long, just a couple of minutes, and then we're going to send it through a jelly strainer and save the juice and make pectin. We'll be back, you guys. Now all I'm going to do is take and run it through my jelly strainer. All that plum mush out and strain it. Now, you don't have to do 8 pounds. You can do 4 pounds or even 2 pounds. You just don't get as much pectin. You know, the less plums you have, the less pectin you get. So it's 1 quart of water per pound of plums. Alright guys, I'm going to keep straining this and we'll be back when we're all done. Now I can tell you right now, 8 pounds will not, it'll come close, but it won't fill up my jelly bag here. I've done this quite a few times. Most of the time all I do is can that juice right there. I'll strain the water, or I mean strain the plums from the quote-unquote water. And then I'll put all of it back, all the liquid back into the pot and add 2 cups of sugar, and then I'll process it in the pressure canner for 75 minutes for pints, or 75 minutes for quarts, 50 minutes for pints, 60 minutes for pints. I'll have to look that up and make sure that you get the right times if you're making juice. But somebody wanted me to show them how I make the pectin all the way down to pectin form. When I make my plum juice into juice, I do that because then I use the plum juice for either pectin when I run out of my apple pectin come the middle of winter. I'll open up several jars of the plum juice and put it in a crock pot. The sugar won't cause any issues, and I will cook it down in a crock pot for 12 hours and then can the what's left at the bottom for my pectin. Alright guys, I'm going to keep doing this and we'll be back. Alright guys, we have strained all of the plums, and this is all 8 pounds. Now you may be thinking, that's 8 pounds? That's not much at all. No, it's not, you guys. We're talking about plums here. Plums are not a large fruit. They're made up of a lot of water and juice. They're not like apples where 75 to 80% of the flesh is actual flesh. More than half of a plum is nothing but water and juice, and so that's all you get. Wow. And I take all 8 pounds, which comes out to be 4 cups of plum juice. And then I'm going to add 4 cups of plum juice, 4 cups of plum mush. I'm going to add 1.5 cups of sugar. Here's the next trick to make your sugar plum fairy spice butter. We have cinnamon, applewood smoked sea salt, and I'm trying to, there it is, pumpkin spice. So, I'm going to add a teaspoon whoops. That wasn't a teaspoon, you guys. Hang on. Okay. Now there's a teaspoon. Wow. I should be fired. Let's do this right. And then we got half a teaspoon of applewood smoked sea salt. My father, who is a chef, always told me when it comes to certain kinds of sweets, like plums. Ooh, look at that! I moved it. There we go. When it comes to certain kinds of sweets like plums, apples, peaches, those kind of things, applewood or any kind of salt brings out a sweetness in the treat that's undescribable. And believe me, applewood sea salt is a little quote unquote pricey, but when it comes to making desserts or jams and jellies, I find the cost of applewood sea salt worth it. Okay, teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of applewood smoked sea salt, and a teaspoon of pumpkin spice. And then I just put the lid on it. I'm going to send it through my Ninja till it's a nice, smooth puree, and I'll bring you back. Alright guys, we have sent it through my Ninja blender. Look how nice and smooth that is. This is why me loves me my Ninja. And we're just going to take and scrape all of it into the crock pot. Turn it on medium. And let it go until it's even thicker and more of that liquid is gone. And that's all there is to it. We'll be back, guys. We have it, you guys. It cooked down for 3 hours. Now you could cook it down more if you want, but I think it gets too thick if you overcook it down. So we're just going to fill up our jars. I washed and sterilized my jars. I sterilized them in an oven on 250 degrees for 15 minutes. And make sure that when you're making butters like this, before you put on your lid and do all that, you debubble. You always, always, always want to debubble when doing certain jams and jellies. Well, butters, I would say. And, of course, whenever you're doing vegetables or anything pressure canned. Well, you want to debubble pretty much everything except jelly and certain jams. Otherwise, debubble everything. We're just going to fill them up. Look at that, 3 12-ounce jars. Now, got to remember, you might not get exactly the number of jars I do. It all depends upon whether you add more sugar or not, how much you cook it down. All of those factors play a role in how much of the actual end product you get. Same thing with jams and jellies. When you make my jams and jellies, you might not get exactly the same number of jars I do. I've said this before. It all depends upon how the fruit feels that day. So however the fruit's feeling that day always depends upon how much time it takes and how much of the end product you get. Alright guys, look at that. 3 beautiful jars. Alright, I'm going to set up my stuff to clean and put lids on my jars and debubble them, and we'll be back. And there we have it. All 3 of them have had their rims washed and wiped off with apple cider vinegar water dipped in a washcloth. Clean fresh lids put on that have been dipped in the apple cider vinegar water, and then new rings. And we're going to put these in a water bath canner, and we're going to process these for 35 minutes. We'll be back, you guys. And there we have it, you guys. 3 jars of our sugar plum spice fairy sugar plum fairy spice butter. Alright, we're going to bring this up to a boil and process it for 35 minutes. We'll be back. And there we have it. That is processing. Now we're going to let it process. And we're going to let it process. We're going to let it stay at this rolling boil. You want to make sure it's a rolling boil so it's up to temperature. And you're preventing any kind of bacterial growth. And you're sterilizing the food and getting the food up to the proper temp. Now we're just going to let it sit and process for 25 minutes. We'll be back. And there it is, you guys. All done. We're just going to turn it off. Take off the lid. Let it cool for 5 minutes. And then we'll be back. Hey guys. Alright. Here. Oh, those have been cooling. Let's get these off to the side. And these are the new ones. Hey, look at that. Those ones took longer to seal than the other ones did. Alright. These I processed a while ago. These I just finished processing. Those is that sugar plum fairy spice butter. And we're just going to pull them out. And you don't want to tilt them or tip them, because you don't want to get any of the product up and underneath of the lid or the ring of the jar and prevent sealing. Now all we're going to do is let them sit here, seal themselves, and cool off for a while, and then we'll be back to check on them. There we have it, you guys. All 3 of my jars sealed. Look how beautiful that is. That is the sugar plum fairy spice butter. Now again, I know looking at that 8 pounds of plums doesn't seem a lot, but actually this is a lot for 8 pounds of plums. I've done a lot of plums just like I've done a lot of apples, and I'm causing the camera to be all fuzzy. Done a lot of plums just like I've done a lot of apples, and the plums have a lot more water content and less meat, so they break down a lot more. You gotta excuse my voice, you guys. I have filmed like 8 videos in the last 24 hours, and I've got more videos to go. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I hope you guys learned a lot. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. And remember, everyone, stay positive. Bye.